Now chapter 23, and I'd remind you again that we're in the section of this book where God put the greatest emphasis, and it's upon the temple. This section is all about David, David's reign. We had only one chapter on Saul's reign, but from 11 through 29, it's all about David's reign. But what was the most important thing in David's reign? Well, was it about his mighty men? They're mentioned. And David's wars? They're mentioned. And David's sin? Well, his sin in numbering the people is mentioned here. And there's so much about David that we have in these historical books. But what is it concerning David that is all important? Well, beginning with chapter 22 through 29, it's all about the temple. That was where God put the emphasis. That's what God thought was important. And here is where he put the emphasis. And he made it very clear that this was all important to him. And it was all important to David. And we saw his great zeal last time. It's a question of putting God first in your life. It's one thing, friends, to say, yes, I'm a Christian, I've trusted Christ. God bless you, it's wonderful you've trusted Christ. But do you really put God first in your life? Is He a thrill to you? Do you rejoice in that relationship? You want to do something for God. Does He give direction and purpose to your life? Is it your great desire to want to know Him and to serve Him? Now, that's very important. If you're a child of God, it's very important. One of the things, as we suggested last time, that is wrong today, oh, so wrong. Our churches have become nothing in the world but just activity. Activity without action. Just a ceaseless round of going through this and going through that. It's like a merry-go-round. We get on and have a nice little ride, then we get off, and we get off right where we got on. We're not getting anywhere. We're not going anyplace. And David was going someplace, and now he's urging his son Solomon to go someplace. And he gives him something to do, and that is, he's to build the temple. And the greatest thing Solomon did was to build the temple. Candidly, that's about the only thing Solomon did of any significance, or at least brought glory to God. It's very important to see that. Now, David, in this section here, is encouraging Solomon to build the temple. I tell you, it was a regular pep meeting. He called that boy in and told him that he gathered all the materials. Now, he not only gathered all the materials, but David also organized the Levites to serve in the temple. You will recall they served in the tabernacle. The family of Aaron, they served as the priests. Then you have the Levites and their three families. There was the Gershonites, the Kohathites, and the Merariites. And these all had a very definite thing to do in the wilderness. When they were moving the tabernacle, they took it down, they put it up, and the Gershonites, why, they carried the curtains and the coverings, and Kohathites carried the articles of furniture, and the Merariites carried the boards and the bars and the pillars, and it was quite an undertaking, as we saw in the book of Numbers. It was quite an enterprise to take the tabernacle down of a morning, put it up again in the evening, and restore the service of it. Now the staves are taken out of the ark. It'll never be moved again. It's to remain now permanently in Jerusalem on the floor of Ornan. And David has bought the place that's going to be used as the place of sacrifice, the place of the temple. That is where the Mosque of Omar is today. And God's temple is to be put there. Now the Levites, they are to have a new service. They are to serve now in the temple that is to be built. And there'll be a great deal for them to do. And so the thing that David does is organize them into shifts, if you please. They would serve by lot, actually. They would serve for a period of time. Then they would retire, and then they'd come back. I think that's the way firemen serve. I think that's the way a lot of men in certain occupations today. They go in 24 hours a day, and then after they've served several days, then they have several days off. Well, that's the way that the service of the tabernacle was organized.